Hi, second graders. I'm actually at a virtual conference today. So I am not going to be live with you for the first time this year. It makes me kind of sad. I'll be back live with you next week. But for this week, I recorded our lesson so you can hear this fantastic story that the other second graders heard this week too. So I'm hoping to get a whole bunch of new information and really cool stuff we can do in the library together for my conference. But I'll see you back here, same time, same place next week. But for today, I am going to read this story to you. This is a perfect book for this week for two reasons. Number one, I know that second graders learn about wild and wacky weather like blizzards, and we just happen to have had a pretty big blizzard this past weekend. We got about 10 inches of snow. That's a lot of snow. I had so much fun, snowmen, sledding, all that stuff, but blizzards can sometimes be dangerous if the snow falls really fast and really hard and there's huge gusts of snow and gusts of wind. They can be potentially dangerous. As this example, the blizzard of 1978. I realize this is a long time ago. I know it's a long time ago because this is the year that I was born. So it was a long time ago. This blizzard actually happened just a couple months before I was actually born, but it was in the same year. So, the author of this book that we're going to read today was actually alive during the blizzard of 1978, and he remembers how crazy it was. So, I want to show you a couple of pictures before we read the book, and then we'll get to reading the book, and then we have a project to do together. So, let's take a look at some pictures. This first one, look at these huge snow embankments that this lady is standing in between. Somebody asked if that was me. It is not, but you can see how tall the snow is when she is standing in the center of both of those. Take a look at this. The snow fell so fast and so hard and so quickly that people actually had to just leave their cars. They had to walk and find a safe place from their car and just leave their car because the snow made it so they couldn't drive anymore on the highway. So they were able to get to safety by just leaving their cars there. Crazy, right? I love this picture. This woman has a sign that says car here because the snow plows eventually started coming through. Look at how deep the snow is. You can see it all the way up to her knees here. The snow plows were coming through, but they didn't want their cars to be smacked by the snow plow as it was driving down the road. So they had to put a sign. Otherwise, you would have no idea that a car was even there. That's how high the snow was, that the snow was actually covering the cars. So they were hiding in the snow. So they had to put little signs or little flags to let the snow plows know that there was actually a car there and to not hit it with their plow. I love this picture. It makes me laugh because look at, they put boxes on their heads with holes for eyes cut out because hats and scarves weren't cutting it. The wind was blowing that hard and that fast that they needed something to cover their whole entire face. These days we kind of have more of like a face mask type of situation that we can wear, but who knows, maybe a box works even better. So they actually cut out little holes in boxes and put that over their head the day of the blizzard because that's how wild the wind was. 80-mile-per-hour wind. That's so fast. And this is actually a picture from a newspaper. Pretty cool. I want to show you a couple of videos. These are actual videos that people took after the snowstorm. This was 6 days after the snowstorm hit. 6 days. So it's crazy to think that there was still all of this snow even 6 days later. So I'll play a quick video clip for you. I have two of them. So February 6, 1978. Let's play. And let's take a look. This is 6 days after. Notice how old the film looks, right? Because it was so long ago. Look at how high those snowdrifts are. And keep in mind, this is 6 days later. I drive around our neighborhood after we had this past snow blizzard, and the banks are pretty high. But holy cow, These banks are way higher and they're down the whole entire street. Let's take a look at this next video. This next video shows kind of what happened during the blizzard. Come on, play. You can do it. Maybe if I don't touch. I'm such a button pusher. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Play. Ah, there we go. Take a look. Everyone's looking over the overpass. This is a couple days after the storm. They're like, look at all the cars. They're stuck in there. And they had to wait till the snow melted or till the snow plows could get through, and then they could safely get their cars out. Take a look at that car. It is buried in snow, and everybody's walking home like, my car got stuck. Look at this. This is snow, a traffic light. Look at how high the snow was on that. And look at that wind whipping around. Crazy. Well, let's get to our book. The author of this book was actually alive during this blizzard, and he was a little boy, so he remembers. He was old enough to remember this blizzard, and he had to do something very special for his family because he was the only one that was light enough to walk on top of the snow. So let's read this book today called Blizzard. What do you notice about the letters in the title? Do you see how they each have like a little pile of snow on top of them? I love that. I thought that was such a creative way to write the title. Blizzard by John Rocco. Something I want you to notice while we're reading this. The illustrator of this book, who's actually also John Rocco, excuse me, he's the author, he wrote the words, and he's the illustrator. He drew the pictures. So John Rocco kind of does these little hidden clues about the day of the week that it is. This one's a little bit more obvious. We can see that it's Monday. It looks like the teacher wrote Monday on the chalkboard. But then as we get through the book, it's a little less obvious, and he has it hiding somewhere on the page. So kind of pay attention to that and see if you can see what day of the week it is. Let's go ahead and read together Blizzard by John Rocco. The first flake fell right before recess. I don't know about you, but I still get excited every time I see the first flake of a snowstorm. It doesn't matter how old you are or how many snowstorms you've been through. When you see that first flake fall, it is always so exciting. Let me move Mrs. Curran out of the way. There we go. It was followed by many, many more. Look at the kids' faces. They are excited. The wind whipped up and school closed early. Yay! By the time my sister and I got home, the snow was already over our boots. So that was only within a couple of hours of snow falling because snow closed early. So it started in the middle of the day, and then by the time they walked home, it was already over their boots. So that means that it was at least a foot deep by that time. Oh, Mrs. Curran, get you out of the way again. The snow continued to fall through the night, and I thought it would never stop. Holy macaroni, it is halfway up the stop sign at this point. The next morning, the snowdrifts were so high we couldn't open our front door. So we went out the window instead. Be careful. Look at that. They couldn't open the door out because the snow was blocking it. So instead, since windows go up instead of out, they could open up the window and the snow is right beneath their window. So imagine if you looked out your window and the snow was all the way up to your window. That's how deep the snow was. And do you see it? Do you see what day of the week it is? Tuesday. Looks like a little squirrel made it with his paws in the roof. We laughed as we sank deep into the frozen powder. But walking was hard. It was like trying to move through white quicksand. Oof. Every few steps, I had to stop and rest. It was even too deep for our sled. We need sled dogs. Woof! Oof! Look at the poor dog. It's up to his head. And it's not a small dog. You'll see on another page. It is not a small dog. When we went back inside, we were cold, wet, and tired. Welcome back, explorers. We made camp by the wood stove, and our feet tingled as we sipped hot cocoa made with milk. Do you see how big the dog is? It's huge. Take a look at the book our main character is reading. It's called Arctic Survival. Remember that. On the third day, Dad shoveled the driveway so he could get the car out when the snowplows came. We dug tunnels and secret rooms under the snow. An igloo can keep you warm in sub-zero temperatures. What's an igloo? Because he's been reading that Arctic survival book, so he knows a thing or two about igloos. Do you see what day of the week it is? I love this one. It's hiding up here. It's Wednesday. By day 4, the plows still hadn't come. I wondered if we'd ever see grass again. Do you see what day of the week it is? Thursday! Inside, things got tense as our food started to run out. I knew we couldn't survive much longer on cocoa made with water. We needed to get to the store, but the roads aren't plowed, and we certainly can't walk through this. See the day of the week? He made it with raisins. Friday! On day 5, I realized it was up to me to take action. I was the only one who had memorized the survival guide. And he's got this thought bubble above his head here because he's reading that survival guide and he's imagining himself kind of coming to the rescue and helping his family and his neighbors. I was the only one who knew what equipment was required. I was the only one who was light enough to walk on top of the snow. Do you see the day of the week? This one's kind of hiding. Saturday. It's on the top of his list, and he made this whole list of things he needed from the store. Milk, bread, eggs, and a candy bar. Not sure if that's necessary. On day 6, I made a list. I prepared the sled. My usual landmarks were covered by snowdrifts. So the way that he usually remembers how to get to the store were covered in snow. So he had to remember just by how to get from his house to the store. He couldn't rely on remembering where the landmarks are because they were all covered with snow. But I managed to check in with my neighbors on my long journey. Look, one neighbor needs candles, one needs cat food, this one needs coffee, this neighbor needs peanut butter. And he's saying, okay, got it. So here he goes on his journey. He checks in with all his neighbors. Doodly 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 doo, doodly 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 doo, doodly doodly doo doo. He climbed up here to a lookout. Maybe that's so he could see where the store was. Went back over here. Doodly 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 doo. He went the wrong way, so he turned around. Doodly 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 doo, doodly doodly doo. Stopped to make a snow angel. Kept going, explored an igloo, doodly 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 doo, doodly 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 doo. Went this way, doodly 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 doo. Joined in a snowball fight, and then it looks like I made it. At last I reached the store. I was tired, hungry, and chilled to the bone, but I couldn't think about myself. I was on a mission. Are you going to carry this all by yourself? Yes, sir, I've got my sled. Yes. He's on his way back now. Who do you think she is on the phone with? She's saying, yes, he's on his way back now. I'm thinking that she is probably on the phone with somebody from his house to just kind of let them know, yep, he made it to the store and now he's on his way back home because there was no cell phones back then, right? You couldn't just send a text. She had to call and say, okay, he's on his way back home. He made it here safely. I noticed something kind of cool on this page. Right here on the cash register, it says 1978, and we know that that is the year that this big blizzard happened. That's cool. I love when authors do that. On the return trip, I raced to drop off the groceries before the sun went down. Wow! Grateful smiles and cheers gave me the energy I needed to get back home. Looks like the kitty cat is happy. Meow. There he is. Oh, the dog is so happy to see him. Woof. Big hugs. That night, we had hot cocoa made with milk, and it had never tasted better. But there was something else we still needed. And right there, he's saying, it was a perilous journey. So he's kind of telling his family the steps he went through to get to the grocery store. But there was something else we still needed. I love to predict when I read. What else could they possibly need? I'm thinking marshmallows, maybe, for their hot cocoa. Snowplows! It looked as though we would see civilization again after all. And do you see what day of the week it is now? The snowplow made Sunday in the road. Guess we'll have to go back to school tomorrow. Boo! Thank heaven. I was going stir crazy. Lady, you think you're going stir crazy? We've been stuck since March. Look at that. And they're even giving some hot cocoa to the snowplow driver. We had survived the blizzard, and now it looks like they have a ginormous snowdrift in their yard that they can sled down. What a great story. Okay. I want to show you something that is beyond cool. When a blizzard happens, like in that story, the Blizzard book, billions of snowflakes fall to the ground. Not thousands, not millions, billions of snowflakes fall to the ground. And even though it looks like one big jumbled mess of snow, if you were to take a look at those individual snowflakes, you would see how beautiful they are. I want to show you how a snowflake forms. I want to show you some special parts of the snowflake, and then together we are going to make snowflakes. You can't just willy-nilly snowflakes either. There has to be a special pattern, and they have to have the same characteristics in order to qualify as a snowflake. So let's first take a look and learn a little bit about the snowflakes that are in a blizzard. Patience, patience, patience. I'm sorry if you hear my doggy snoring. He is next to me snoring away. Okay, isn't this beautiful? If you were to take a look at a snowflake up close, look at how beautiful. I can even expand that a little bit for you. Isn't that gorgeous? It almost looks like a piece of jewelry or a diamond. It's just beautiful. Snowflakes are bits of ice crystals stuck together. So dust joins with water vapor in the air to make clouds. And then when the air temperature is freezing, clouds fill with ice crystals.
What happens next?
Stuck together ice crystals become flakes. When the cloud is full of heavy flakes, they start to fall to the ground. The cloud can't hold them anymore. Each tiny snowflake is made up of about 2 to 200 ice crystals.
How do they look?
Each snowflake is different. Crazy. Every snowflake is different. Billions of snowflakes. They're all different. But they all have some things in common. They all have 6 sides. Next time you're in a snowstorm or when the snow is falling and you hold out your glove or your mitten and you see the snowflake on there, every single one of them will have 6 sides. Every single one of them. You'll never find one unless part of it's like melted or something. They all have 6 sides. Snowflakes are clear, but they look white. In places with clay soil, snowflakes can look pink. Dust from the red clay gives them a pink color.
How many? How fast?
Billions of snowflakes fall in one snowstorm. They fall at about 3 miles an hour, which is actually not very fast because if you watch the snow fall from the sky, it is kind of slow. The snowflakes form a blanket of white on the ground.
Fun snowflake facts.
Fun snowflake facts. Who doesn't love a good fact? The world's largest snowflake was 15 inches across. Guys, the world's largest snowflake was about this big. What? Can you imagine seeing that fall from the sky? Ice crystals are smaller than a sentence's period. So right there, smaller than that. The first ice crystal, when it's first formed, they're smaller than that. Snowflakes are different, but they can be the same size. Now hold tight. Let's watch some snowflakes form. Look at that. It starts in the center, and then it slowly becomes a snowflake. Whoosh, isn't that beautiful? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Look at how beautiful it is when a snowflake forms. All right. So now that you've seen that, I find some of the world's top nature experts are the wildcrats. So they do a fantastic job of explaining how a snowflake forms. So I'm going to quickly show you a video. It's only about a minute long, explaining to you how the dust and the water vapor go together to make a snowflake. And after that, I'm going to show you some more snowflake pictures, and then we're going to create a snowflake together. Here we go. It's coming. Slowly but surely. Okay, I'm going to full screen this so you can see it nice and big. And get myself out of the way. Here we go.
Don't worry, this won't take long. Got liftoff. Great, we're in the cloud. Tiny little water droplets and dust. And if they collide, wait, hold it, and there, that droplet.
It's a hexagon.
Crystal.
Hexagon
Hey,
in the
wait
center.
up. You can't outfall us, ice crystals. Yeah, we fall at least twice every adventure! Look, it's changing. Oh, yes! Woohoo! A snowflake is born. I've always wanted to see a snowflake being born. And I've always wanted to ride one. Woohoo! Yahoo! What a cool snowflake design! When you see them up close, every single snowflake has its own shape. Then they need their own name. I'll call you Chili. You are definitely Icer. Oh, and Freezy. And a snowman? Frosty. Yeah, they're definitely cold. Uh-oh.
All right. So that's kind of a cool video. It really shows you how those snowflakes form. So let's take a look at some different snowflake pictures. I want you to notice something. They all have a 6-sided shape in the center. Do you see it? A shape with 6 sides is a hexagon. I always remember that because there's an X in 6 and there's an X in hexagon. So take a look. Every single one of these snowflakes has a hexagon at their center. You're going to notice 3 things. 1, they are symmetrical. That means they are the same. They are the same. What is on this one is on this one. What is on this one is on this one. All 6 sides are the same. That's number 1. Number 2, you're going to notice that hexagon center. And number 3, you're going to notice they all have 6 sides. Watch. We'll check each one. Okay. Number 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yup, 6 sides. Number 2, hexagon center. I see it there. Number 3, they're all the same. They're symmetrical. Yep. Let's check the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. 6 sides. Hexagon center. Check. You can see it there. And we did notice that this one isn't as symmetrical as the other ones. We're thinking maybe a little melting occurred. But I think when it was initially formed, all the sides were exactly the same. Take a look at this one. This one's beautiful, right? 6 sides. Yep. Do you see the hexagon center? I see it there. I'll put this over so you can see it even better. Hexagon center and all sides the same. Checkity, check, check. Next one. This guy's just one big hexagon. It's a hexagon. 6 sides And all the same. Another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 sides. Yup. Hexagon center. I see it. And every side the same. One more. Every side the same. Hexagon center. This one you can really see that hexagon center. And all sides the same. So cool. I mean, something that billions of flakes fall, they are still all different, but they still all have 6 sides, hexagon center, and they're symmetrical. Okay, let's draw a snowflake together. But here's the thing, we have to include those 3 things. It has to all be the same, 6 sides, hexagon center. Those are our 3 rules. So go ahead while Mrs. Curran's screen is loading. Go ahead and grab a piece of paper or a whiteboard or anything that you have laying around. Post-it note, piece of paper, whiteboard, anything that you have laying around that you can make a snowflake on. I'll give you just a minute to find that, something to write with, something to write on. If you need more than a minute, go ahead and pause this and then come back when you're ready. Okay. And you don't need additional colors, just one color is going to be just fine. And I'm just going to go ahead and use black. All right, let's get started. Here we go. We have to start with our hexagon center. So we are going to draw a hexagon together. We are going to start with a line up here and the same size line just a little bit below it, kind of like a big equal sign. So 2 lines. You're not going to want to make it take up the whole page. If I was drawing this on a paper, I would maybe do it about like the center of my paper. Not too big, not too small. So 2 lines. Now it's going to get a little hairy, but you can do it. Okay, next thing. I'm going to do a line going down and a line going down and out. So from that top line, I'll show you one more time. I'm going to do a little line going out, and then another little line going out. And I bet you know what the last step is going to be. We're going to start here and connect it. 1, 2. So now I have a hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. I'll show you one more time. Little line, got it? Line going out, line going out, line. Perfect. Now I'm going to need a line to connect to both of those. Line going up, boom, hexagon. Now, every time there's a corner on my shape, I'm going to draw a line going out. So here's a corner, here's a corner, here's a corner, here's a corner, 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 corner. Okay? I should have 6 because it's a 6-sided figure. So line, 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 line. Beautiful. Kind of looks like a bug. So every time there's a corner, you'll draw a line out. Okay, so far I've got 6 sides, check, and a hexagon center. Top 2 things. Number 3, I need to make it into a snow crystal now and do a snowflake. I need to make sure that everything is the same. So everything's going to be symmetrical. So you can add whatever designs you want to add as long as you add the same design to every single line. Okay, so you don't need to do what I'm about to do, but I'm going to give you a little quick demonstration. Let's say I want every line to have a small line towards the bottom. That's fine, as long as I do it to every single line. Okay, maybe I want a little circle on the end. Well, that's fine, as long as I make a circle on all the ends of my lines. Maybe I want like a little arrow type situation. Up, down. As long as I do it on all the lines. Up, down, up, down. As long as I do it on all the lines. Totally fine. Maybe I want like a little additional line coming out of my circles. Beautiful, Mrs. Curran. Oh, very nice. How about one last thing? How about, I got it. Like a little line connecting. Whoop. There we go. Like that. Oh, that's cool, Miss Curran. Connecting my two. Like little houses almost, it looks like, on my snowflake. Beautiful. So let me check. Hexagon center, checkity check. 6 sides, checkity check. Everything symmetrical, checkity check. I realize that some of my lines are a little bit off. I did as best as I could to make them all exactly the same. So that is how a snowflake forms, and that is what the snowflakes look like. So next time you're outside in a snowstorm, put out your hand. You have to have like a mitten or a glove, otherwise it melts the second it hits your hand. But if you have a glove or a mitten, take a look as it falls and check to see if it's symmetrical, 6 sides, and has that hexagon center. Good job today, boys and girls. I missed you so much, but I will see you back here next week. Hey, if you can remember, put this snowflake drawing in a special spot. And then next week when we get together, you can show me your snowflake drawings. That would be wonderful. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. It's supposed to be really cold this weekend. See you next week. Nice work, kiddos.